will join US President Donald Trump's Board of Peace initiative. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made the announcement during his visit to Washington. After meeting Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Netanyahu posted on X that he had signed Israel's formal accession to the board. The Board of Peace was authored by a UN Security Council resolution in mid-November, and it allows participating countries to help establish an international stabilization force in Gaza, where a fragile ceasefire has been in place since October the 10th under a Trump-backed plan agreed to by Israel and Hamas. The board was initially designed to oversee Gaza's temporary governance. Trump has said it will be expanded to address broader global conflicts, with him serving as chair. Its first meeting is set for February the 19th in Washington, where members will discuss Gaza's reconstruction. Professor Popovsky joins us once again in this discussion. Professor, Donald Trump's Board of Peace. Israel has now joined a board which, of course, is said to oversee the reconstruction of Gaza and imposing an international stabilization force in Gaza, among other things. Now, some of the key figures at the top, the likes of Jared Kushner, Marco Rubio, Tony Blair, they have all been seen and have been criticized as appointments for their biased leanings towards the Israeli state. Now that Israel has officially is officially a part of this Board of Peace, what does that say about the organization going forward, given that we have Israeli membership but absolutely no sign of any Palestinian one?
Well, the idea is to bring together Israeli and Palestinians. So for that matter, there will be a transitional administration by Palestinians. And they brought one businessman from Egypt who will be appointed as a temporary administrator of Gaza. So Gaza will not be ruled by Israel, definitely. And the idea here is somehow to think about the future of economic reconstruction, of rebuilding the institutions in Gaza. Generally, the initial idea is very good, and I'm very supportive to have a body because of the lack of United Nations to step in. I must say, I'm very critical here for the total silence from the United Nations. Antonio Guterres doesn't say anything. Where is the Department of Peace Building in United Nations in New York here? Ideally, they should step in and not Donald Trump into Gaza and make peace between Palestinians and Israelis. Well, they appointed Nikolai Mladenov, who is a former Secretary General envoy to Iraq, Libya, and Gaza. He knows very well the Palestinians. And he's the executive director of the Board of Peace, actually the technocrat, the person who knows very well everybody, both sides, Palestinians and Israeli. So it's a good idea, but it is again spoiled by Donald Trump, by his ambitions to have a role as an eternal peacemaker. And the statute, the constitution of the Board of Peace is very much disappointing and nonsensical because it mentions Trump 10 times and it doesn't mention Gaza. So very good initial idea, which has been spoiled by Donald Trump and his circle. And obviously some appointment, as you mentioned, of Kushner and Tony Blair, they are very much inappropriate. But again, I hope over time, the United Nations, with the new Secretary General, by the way, coming by the end of 26, will step in and will really take care of Gaza in a proper way, in a neutral way, impartial, with Palestinian transitional administration, and with Israeli providing some security guarantees for some time, and that's also very important, to have cooperation between Israel and those who will step in Gaza as a long-term peace-building mission, ideally under the umbrella of the United Nations.
This is what I wanted to bring up, actually. Of course, there are some traditional Palestinian allies on the board of peace. And of course, huge allies of Trump as well. You've got the Qatari leadership, Turkey. We know Erdogan and Donald Trump, they are very close personally, as Donald Trump frequently likes to say. Saudi Arabia has agreed to be part of it as well. Not a member of the Abraham Accords, may I add. How might this tussle develop while Donald Trump is in the middle, trying to balance these diplomatic relationships that the United States newly has under him, not with Israel, of course, but with these Gulf states, very warm relationships, with rebuilding Gaza?
Yes, generally I'm kind of optimistic here. It will work long term, despite those, ambitions by Donald Trump to be seen as a leader of the process, because there are so many factors, as you mentioned, in the region, and they are much more important, by the way. The role of Qatar and Egypt in making the deal between Israel and Gaza is significant. Donald Trump stepped very late into this. Those negotiations started almost immediately after October 7th, and the praise should go to Qatari and Egyptians mediators, and we don't even know the names of all of them. Exactly, because in negotiations it's better to keep silence and to do the work rather than to go to the newspapers and media and report, what Donald Trump does, but the work actually is done by Qatari, Egyptians, Turkish, Saudis, and I think long term it will be a regional effort that the history will remember exactly those regional actors helping to make the peace in Gaza long term. And with the diminishing of Hamas, with the less and less role played by Iran in supporting those proxies in Hezbollah, in Hamas, in the Houthis, over time, I'm optimistic that all of this will play well together in the region. So I don't have doubt that if not the board of peace, but the future long-term peace-building body, I will call it, once Trump is gone, will deliver the necessary long-term peace in the Middle East.
Professor Veselin Popovsky, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a great pleasure to speak to you. We now turn from the Middle East to the United States of America. And US lawmakers have